am a naturally messy person, so keeping on top of things is always a constant struggle. When I'm trying to keep my house neat and orderly, I always feel overwhelmed whenever my possessions get over and beyond the threshold of items that I can easily and simply control and contain in their proper places. It's really easy, especially for a large family that is often at home, everybody's often at home. It's really easy for things to get out of control quickly. And I've learned that the best solution for me is to keep everything on a level that I can quickly and easily get things back into an orderly state within 30 minutes. And that gives me a lot of confidence. Even when my house is messy and cluttered, I can quickly and easily get it back to where I need it to be in order for me to have a good positive mindset. The kitchen is a place where I really struggle to keep things under control and neat and orderly. I don't know if this is a problem for you. Maybe your kitchen is always immaculate, but for me, this is a problem area. And so I always have to stay on top of the things that I have in the kitchen and make sure that I am only keeping the things that are useful and helpful and letting the things go that are causing a distraction or a burden for me to be able to keep the kitchen in a neat and orderly place. That's what I want to talk about today, decluttering our kitchen to keep it nice and controllable, and I'm really grateful that you're here. Let's get started. Because my natural tendency is to be a little on the messy side, I have to work extra hard to try to keep my home at a manageable level so that I don't get overwhelmed. When I get overwhelmed, I get stressed and I get frazzled very easily. So I have learned that the simplest solution is to reduce the amount of things that I have to deal with on a regular basis so that I can keep everything at a relatively manageable level. And that way, no matter how the kitchen looks, I know that in 30 or 45 minutes, it will be back ready for the next mess to happen. I want to talk about a couple of ideas that have really helped me to bring my kitchen to a more manageable level, and maybe this will help you too. The first solution that I had to accept whenever I started decluttering my kitchen was I was going to have to get rid of a lot of things. I like to go to the thrift stores. I like to go to yard sales. I like to have hand-me-downs. So I realized that I had overwhelmed the space in my kitchen with things that are nice and useful but were not necessary. And an example of that is I looked into my cupboard and I had probably 10 or 12 Pyrex dishes. Well, I know that some grandmothers might need 10 or 12 Pyrex dishes for Thanksgiving dinner or things like that, but I'm not the person who uses on a regular basis an abundance of Pyrex. I really don't even make casseroles very often, so there was absolutely no reason for me to have an overabundance of Pyrex dishes. So I decided I would keep 2 or 3 and I would get rid of the rest. And I was able to find a good place for the Pyrex dishes to go. It is a contained place that cannot be overstocked anymore with Pyrex dishes. So that is a good, useful tool. If you find a contained place for the things that are sort of overtaking your kitchen, and you say, this is the area where I can have this particular kind of item, And after I have so many that this area is filled, then I'm gonna have to decide which ones to keep and which ones to part with. We enjoy having extra. There's not anything necessarily wrong with having extra, but when we have an overabundance, it becomes a burden to us. And if we can really think about it, we can bless somebody else with our overabundance, because there are a lot of people who don't have any Pyrex dishes. Maybe they are beginning their homemaking journey, and so that would be a good place for us to direct some of our excess is to the people who maybe are just now setting up their homes. It's okay for you to get rid of most of your Pyrex dishes now, and then when you become that grandmother that is the one who cooks all of the Thanksgiving dinners, then you can reaccumulate the number that you actually need. So keeping in mind the amount that we actually need on a regular basis in our current season, and also that as we move from season to season in our life, we can adjust our inventory to meet those current needs. I really enjoy making things from scratch. I have 3 kids who love to bake, and actually the baby enjoys helping us cook too. So we have a lot of bakers and chefs in the house. That leads to a lot of kitchen gadgets that we somehow accumulate over time. Again, I'm sure it has something to do with yard sales and thrift stores making things so accessible and affordable that we tend to over accumulate baking supplies. And so I have to, on a regular basis, go through and minimize what we have and discard the things that we are not going to use, that we have not used in a while, knowing that if there does come a time when I need that particular item, it is easily accessible from other venues. I can be on the lookout if it's not an emergency, and if it is an emergency, most of those kitchen gadgets cost less than $10. I can just run to the store and get them if I do find that I have gotten rid of something that I need. The fear of decluttering something that you might actually need in the future is real and difficult to overcome. For me, whenever I have donated a large amount of items all at once, it really gives me a nervous, anxious feeling, because I think, what if I've done something wrong? What if I have given away things that we actually will need in the future? What if I made a bad decision? And those kinds of things can cause us to be paralyzed and not make the decisions at all in the first place. But we have to come to terms with the fact that decluttering is difficult, but it is worth it. And so we can count the cost. If I get rid of this $10 kitchen gadget, is it likely that I will come across one again at a yard sale or a thrift store? Is it easy to replace? Am I going to have to pay $200 to replace this kitchen gadget, or is it going to cost me $3? Those are the kinds of things that will help us to easily make these decisions. And if we are going to part with something, it can give us the confidence that even if I am making a bad choice, I will be able to overcome that choice, and it will be small in comparison to the benefit of decluttering this entire room. As we go through and make those decisions, it becomes easier and easier to make those decisions quickly and without as much stress. As I began to declutter, I found it difficult to make those decisions, but as I have built up my endurance to be able to get rid of items, I have the confidence to know that all of those hundreds of items that I have decluttered have not been missed. Nobody has asked about them. I have not wished that they were back, and I have not had any regret from the things that I have gotten rid of, even though that was a major concern with me in the beginning. So as we get better and as we get practice, we will learn to have better confidence in our decision-making processes and trust our initial reaction to, should I keep this item or should I donate this item? Appliances are a big thing that cause us issues whenever we are decluttering our kitchens. We have access to so many different appliances. There is an appliance to do literally everything. There are huge appliances to open jars, and there are appliances to make bread and to toast our bread. We have to come at the issue of overabundance of appliances with a mindset that we have a certain amount of space that we are able to devote to different appliances that we think would be useful and helpful in our kitchen. And it's okay if we make a purchase and find that this is not for me. I'm not this kind of appliance owner. I do not have any use for this item. Even though I thought that this was gonna save me so much time, it actually does nothing but take up space on the counter. If that is how we feel about that appliance after we purchase it, it's okay for us to get rid of that appliance. Maybe we can find somebody in our friend group that does need the appliance, or maybe we can sell it on eBay or on Facebook, or maybe we can just donate it to the thrift store. But keeping an appliance that you do not use is not helpful to you. So give yourself permission to get rid of those big bulky appliances that are expensive but are not being. For example, I used to have a bread maker, and I actually found this bread maker at the thrift store, and this was a great bread maker. This was a $300 bread maker that I got for $25 or $30. It was a great deal. It did a good job, and I really liked having it. I do make my own bread, so I thought this is a reasonable, rational choice. I'm going to buy this bread maker, but in fact, it did take up a lot of space. It was a large bread maker, and although I used it and liked to use it, I decided that I would rather have that open counter space than to have a machine that made the bread for me. I sort of decided that kneading the dough and putting in all of the ingredients and mixing everything together was something that I actually wanted to do. And so I decided to let that bread maker go. On the other hand, a toaster is something that my family uses on a regular basis. I want most of our appliances to be put in the cabinet where they are not taking up room on the counter, but it seems like every day the toaster is pulled out of the cabinet and placed back on the counter because we use a toaster on a regular basis. So make the decisions based on your family and on your daily habits. If you use a coffee grinder once a week, keep the coffee grinder. If you've never bought whole bean coffee and you've never even used the coffee grinder, then give yourself permission to get rid of it. It's okay to discard the things that are not useful to you. I have a hard time making sure that my dishes stay clean and my sink stays empty. This is a daily battle and struggle for me, and I know that a lot of people say I am never going to bed without making sure all of my dishes are clean, making sure that my sink is empty, and I really hope to get to that place one day. But at this point in my life, I'm not quite there yet, but I am making progress. Something that I have learned really helps me is to minimize the amount of cutlery, dishes, and cups that we have accessible to us. And this ensures that we run the dishwasher every day and we get the dishes out of the sink, washed and cleaned and put away every day, so that the next day things will be available for us to use. It sounds elementary, but when I reduced the amount of items in my kitchen so that everybody had one plate, there are less dishes to have to take care of, and there are less dirty dishes piled up in the sink, just for the simple fact that we don't have as many dishes as we used to have. So decide how many plates and cups, forks, knives, and spoons you can deal with, and get rid of the rest. That will help eliminate a lot of the dirty dishes that you have to deal with on a regular basis. I have a shelf of cookbooks, and to be honest, I rarely use a recipe. That's probably indicated by the way a lot of my food turns out, but in my mind, I just need to throw stuff together, and I don't like having to follow a tedious recipe, so I'm much less likely than most to follow a recipe. My kids do use the cookbooks on a regular basis, but we also have some cookbooks that have not been used. I am deciding that I'm going to put a date on those cookbooks, and if I have not used those cookbooks in the next 2 months, I'm going to make the commitment to get rid of the ones that we have not used. That way I can re-motivate myself to try to use the things that we have in the kitchen, and if I find that it's not something that I want to use, I'm making the decision ahead of time to go ahead and pass those along to someone else. Everybody likes cookbooks, so I'm sure I can find plenty of people to give them to. Now, one caveat to that is we do have some sentimental cookbooks from family members who have passed away, cookbooks that have been given to me by my family, and so those cookbooks, I've just decided that they have a permanent place in our home, and that is okay. It brings me joy to see those cookbooks that our grandmother used on a regular basis, and she gave them to us, and we can use them on a regular basis, and if we're not going to use them, it's enjoyable just to see them there. It's a reminder of her and the things that she loved to do for her family. It is a good use of space in my mind just to keep those cookbooks there for us to see them and be reminded of the love that she had for us. So if you have items in your kitchen that are simply sentimental, that is perfectly fine, and find a good place for those items and enjoy having those items there as a memory of the people who you love or the experiences that you have enjoyed with your loved ones throughout the years. I decided to declutter my utensil drawer today for my decluttering task, and so I hope that I can part with several of the items in the drawer. The drawer has sort of gotten out of control. We have too many items in there, and I decided that today is the day that I need to take back that drawer and make it more user friendly and less crowded. Decluttering my utensil drawer, I was able to get rid of about 25 things, so that seems like a pretty good success, and I am happy with the fact that now my drawer is a little more manageable. I wish I could have gotten rid of more, but some of the knives in there are, again, sentimental items, so They just have to have a place for now, and I'm okay with that. I feel good about the things that I kept, and I feel good about the things that I have decided to donate or give away. And it is just a constant process to be able to build our muscles to the place where we have confidence in the decisions that we make, that if we make a decision to declutter a particular item, nobody is going to miss it, nobody's going to be upset, and if they are usually pretty easy to replace. I hope your month of decluttering is going well. We are making progress here. Even my kids are on board. I did not tell them they had to participate in the declutter challenge this month, but they have begun to declutter some things in their own rooms, and that is very encouraging. So I'm excited for the progress that we're making here in our home. I hope that you are making good progress in your home as well. It thrills me that you are participating right along with me in this declutter challenge. And I hope that the decluttering that you're doing in your home is bringing you some peace and joy and serenity. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful week. I love you. I will see you again next time.